Hello everyone. I'm beginning with a new initiative from today. It is the analysis of Yojana and Kurukshetra. We all are aware of the fact that these two are the monthly magazines that are published by Publication Division. Both these magazines have an excellent support for our preparation for civil services examination. It includes both preliminary and main examination requirement. However, essentially it caters the requirements of main examination. And when I say that it is catering the requirement of main examination, I want to insist that it includes requirement of both optional geography as well as general studies. These magazines gives us an updated version of not just all the important programs and policies that we have in our country, but also what are the levels of success, what is the achievement that we have. And additionally, because there are case studies which are being referred here, it ultimately provides us with a huge and excellent foundation of creating the content matter for my answer writing. I've always advised you to read Yojana and Kurukshetra, and with every advice that I forward, I get a feedback how to manage these magazines. In last few years, both these magazines have evolved significantly. Earlier, there used to be random sequence of the content. Now it is much organized, and every monthly magazine is dedicated to certain defined topic. So it becomes much more manageable. But information overload is there with every article that comes in. But if you try it to take an overview of a certain magazine of a given month, you'll find that there is a repetitive information which is there because they have highlighted a certain topic, and 4, 5, 7 articles are basically focusing on absolutely those content matter. So you need to actually scavenge out of those 7, 8 articles per magazine, which is giving you the absolute coverage. There can be certain write-ups which will be case study, so you must read it. But then there are certain articles that gives me an overview of everything that I want to attempt. And that is where I chart out the content information, supplementing it with newspapers and other sources, and of course diagrams, and excellently create out a ready-made information for you. So today I'm taking the Yojana magazine of June 2020. It is the article on Industrial Revolution 4. We all are aware of what does Industrial Revolution 4 stands for. But with this article, we'll try to make sense with, number one, what is the Industrial Revolution 4 present in terms of challenges, in terms of opportunities. Additionally, what exactly is the requirement of Industrial Revolution 4? Additionally, what exactly is the role of Industrial Revolution 4 in the present scenario of pandemic? And also, how do we take the different orientation of this digitization in generating more parity, whether it comes to opportunity, and more parity, whether it comes to the possibilities of minimizing inequality persisting on the basis of gender, caste, or any other purview. So without wasting any time, as I always do, as always, I'll be taking article from Yojana and will be integrating it with certain more write-ups that I have created to make you understand how to generate the bullet point information for your answer writing. I'm quickly going to screen. Right, so I'm talking about the article that is Industry 4 of Yojana June 2020. And to begin with, this write-up gives us the information in regards to the generations of industrial revolution. It reads, the first industrial revolution came with the advent of mechanization, steam power, and water power. The second industrial revolution revolved around mass production and assembly lines using electricity. So I see the difference between industrial revolution 1 and 2. Possibly all of us have got that information in regards to this. The third industrial revolution was with electronic and IT systems and automation. And what is fourth industrial revolution? The fourth industrial revolution associates with cyber physical system, where industry 4 describes the growing trend towards automation and data exchange in technology along with processes within manufacturing industry. So we are talking about automation, data exchange, and an excellent diagram is given in our Yojana. Let us see that diagram before we proceed further. Right here you are noticing that there are few industrial revolution sequence given. In the second half of 18th century, we mark the beginning of Industry 1, where mechanization, steam power, and were the important inputs that facilitated the industrialization. So, Industry 1 largely correlates to that industrial revolution, which we essentially talk about in the late 18th century. When we get to the Industrial Revolution 2, we are in the late 19th century where we are talking about mass production. So here we are having the change of mass production because we are having the utilization of electric energy. And then comes in our Industrial Revolution 3. It's called Industry 3 as you can read it here. And it is essentially coming up from the second half of 20th century, and it is talking about automation. It is talking about computers and electronics. So I can mark the beginning of CIT when it comes to Industrial Revolution 3. And what is the present scenario? Present scenario is Industry 4. And what I need to see is, which we have already read, it relates to cyber physical system, Internet of Things, and networks. Internet of Things and Industrial Internet of Things are the two interesting concepts that goes with it, which is also mentioned in this particular article of Yojana. But before I take you there, I want you to take an overview of Industry 4 with all its pros and cons with this write-up. We have learned that the first industrial revolution used water steam power to mechanize production, which largely was centered in Western Europe to begin with. The second utilized electric power to create mass production. So the scale of production significantly increased. The third industrial revolution used electronic and information technology to automate production processes. We have seen the image that was given in Yojana, and our focus now, the fourth industrial revolution is building on the third, the digital revolution that has been occurring since the middle of the last century. It is characterized by fusion of technologies that is blurring the lines between physical, digital, and biological sphere. This is a very important thing. Blurring the line, the gap, the difference that has to be there between physical, digital, and biological sphere is becoming much less defined because of Industry 4. And when we talk about Industry 4, how is capable of minimizing those gaps that have been there or minimizing those distinctions that have been there, you can take it with the reference of this. There are three reasons, and you need to take these points very cautiously. This is how we built up the content. I read something, I need to actually analyze that after reading. But what exactly is the outcome of reading it? I need to chart out those points. That is what I have done here, taking the content matter from Yojana. So, there are three reasons why today's transformation represents not merely a prolongation of third industrial revolution, but rather arrival of fourth and distinct one. If I say that in the third industrial revolution itself, we had computers, information technology, automation, and that is the reason I believe that Industry 4 is nothing but extension of Industry 3. What is the reason? I am at a wrong version of conclusion. I am at wrong version of conclusion because velocity, scope, and systems impact. These three dimensions makes Industry 4 distinct from industry 3. What does that mean? What is velocity? What is scope? And what is the system's impact? That is what we want to learn now. So when I talk about velocity, so we are noticing it here. If I demarcate it as 1, velocity as our prime factor, this is the most important thing to be very precise. I'm enlarging it here. So 1 is getting enlarged here. The speed of current breakthrough has no historical precedent. Whenever we talk about Industry 4 or Industrial Revolution 4, the way it has zoomed into our life in almost every sphere, that we don't identify any such exponential kind of growth in any of the earlier 3 phases of industries that we have experienced. When compared to the previous industrial revolution, the fourth has following characteristics: evolving at an exponential rather than a linear pace. So as I said, velocity, so I'm taking velocity with exponential pace of growth and not linear pace of growth. Take support of this line diagram to make sense. But horizontal axis talks about time and vertical axis is giving us the levels of growth. We can easily justify it. Now, if you see the red line mentioned here on which I'm making my black marker move, linear increase is much more gradual. In due course of time, linear increase is gradual, sequential. We can recognize every level of its growth. Compared to it, when I talk about exponential, that is green here. So I notice that it goes very slow to begin with, and thereby it has got such exponential increase that there is no precise comparison when it comes to the linear increase. So what is exponential? It is sudden, or if I read it from my bullet point information, higher in velocity. So can I consider Industrial Revolution 4 to be a preceder of Industrial Revolution 3? Yes, but with certain attachment. It represents extension of Industrial Revolution 3 because it is also talking about computers, electronics, and etc. But what makes it different is its velocity. It is not growing on a linear form, it is growing in exponential form. Characteristics number 1. Characteristics number 3, it is disrupting almost every industry in every country. I can change this term to it is modifying. It's more of compulsion rather than your choice. When we today correlate everything with COVID, we need to understand that Industrial Revolution 4 is basically evolving to be a compulsion for every industry because it is oriented towards that artificial intelligence, robotics, that is basically generating electronic platform for communication. I'll be detailing it just in a while. And then we have got characteristics number 3. The breadth and depth of these changes transform entire system of production management and governance. It is actually influencing every sphere and we are categorizing them as production, management and governance. So production is essentially going towards manufacturing, management is essentially going towards service sector and governance without any doubt as an important constituent when it comes to our study. Example is what I have cited here. Possibilities of billions of people connected by mobile devices with unprecedented processing power, storage capacity, and access to knowledge are unlimited. And these possibilities were not there prior to the mobilization of mobile technology in telecommunication. These possibilities will be multiplied by emerging technological breakthrough in the fields such as artificial intelligence, robotics, the Internet of Things, the autonomous vehicles, 3D printing, nanotechnology, biotechnology, material science, energy storage, and quantum computing. So when we talk about Industrial Revolution 4, it is different from any of its preceded, essentially because of its absolute new orientation. And the two terms that we are taking up here, and it is also mentioned in Yojana. So let me first take you to Yojana before we proceed. So Yojana, going back to Yojana, to make sense with the Internet of the Thing. The Industry 4 describes the growing trend towards automation and data exchange in technology and processes within the manufacturing industry, including the Internet of the Things and the Industrial Internet of the Things. Added to it, as we have already read, cyber physical system, smart manufacturing, smart factories, cloud computing, additive manufacturing, big data, robotics, cognitive computing. Cognitive is more about mental mapping, that is altogether a different stream. All these have been artificial intelligence and blockchain, etc. So there is a point where I do see some sort of link with industrial 3, because here also I'm talking about CIT. But what makes industry 4 different from 3, I think is clear here. And one of the very common point that we try to develop out, which is mentioned in Yojana, Internet of Things and Industry Internet of Things, what is the difference between them? Try to understand this. I made it Internet of Things, IoT, versus Industrial Internet of Things, IIoT. The Internet of Things is often referred to smart object. Everything from cars, home appliances to shoes, light switches that connects to internet, passing and receiving data, connecting to physical world to digital world is considered to be smart object. So here we need to understand the meaning of smart object. Smart object is basically the integral part of industry 4, because smart object is this object which is having the capacity of connecting physical world to digital world. Internet of Things goes like this. And how do I integrate it with the other? Other than Internet of Things, there are another similar concept called Industrial Internet of Things that stands for this. Both concepts have same main characteristics of availability, intelligent, and connected devices. The only difference between these two is their general usages. IoT is commonly used for consumer and double IoT is used for industrial purposes. So the main difference between the two, and if I slightly zoom in this diagram, it will give you more clarity. If I'm industrial, this is IIoT and this is IoT. It is largely for industries, this is for consumer, and you can easily notice almost everything from wearables to phone to television, or eventually to appliances to the home monitoring, home automation. This will be correlated to internet connectivity, written here, powered by any sort of software. So when we talk about Internet of Things, I'm talking about consumers. And when I talk about industrial Internet of Things, so everything like heavy machinery mentioned here, transportation you can see, smart cities you can identify, and then automation, factories, healthcare, all these are correlated to industrial Internet things. Healthcare, very important in COVID purview. Arogya Setu app is an excellent example that you can identify. Healthcare. So these are the important terms that have evolved when it comes to anything that is correlated to connecting the physical environment to the technological environment, digital environment. And this is where I identify Industrial Revolution 4 to be very different. Now, after learning what is Industrial Revolution 4, how it relates to its preceder, how it is different from its preceder, the next important thing that crops up automatically in any answer writing or content building is what kind of opportunities and challenges we correlate with the Industry 4. So, opportunities that we identify with Industry 4 includes, and I have pointed it out so that the content becomes much more easier for you to, and this is the best way actually to make up your notes. I'm always of belief that until and unless you attempt your own writing, you won't be in the position of doing justice to your preparation. And the length of your write up determines your level of understanding. When the first time you prepare notes, taking any support material, by default, your notes will be bulky. Next time you will make it, it will become comparatively concise. More the concise notes are, better is your level of understanding and better is your approach of concising the information. Because I don't need to remind you that the most challenging thing that comes up when it comes to answer writing in civil services examination is a time management. So that is the reason I'll be always integrating it with such type of bullet point information, so that I'm not just comprehending my content matter of Yojana, I'm preparing my own content matter also. So what are the important opportunities that I see with Industrial Revolution 4, or simply put it, Industry 4? So it has got the capacity of raising global income levels, improving quality of life of population. If income levels will increase, automatically quality of life has to improve. Those who have gained the most from it has been consumers able to afford an access digital world. So increasing availability of digital world, which by default facilitates easy information for the individuals, which also has got its pros and cons. Then we have fourth point, technology has made it possible, new products and services that increase in efficiency, pleasure of our personal life. Like examples I have cited here, ordering cab, booking a flight, buying product, making payment, all of them have become digitized, and it automatically is increasing the efficiency and bringing ease to the common life. Then we have taken technological innovation will also lead to the supply side miracle, which in long term gain in efficiency and productivity, because there will be more efficiency in terms of accountability, in terms of movement of goods, in terms of payment. So it surely will generate more transparency and accountability. And then I have added transportation and communication cost will drop, logistic and global supply chain will become more effective, and in addition, cost of trade will diminish, all of which will open new markets and drive economic growth. What are the opportunities that Industry 4 generates for us? These are the opportunities that we can demarcate. They overlap, but they clearly can be charted out as six. This is one of the trick of answer writing actually. Because if I say first 2 points, I've actually enlarged it as next 4 points. But until unless you chart it out as 6 different points, then the dimensions don't evolve in your answer. When I say that there will be increase in income level, it is by default that we are minimizing the possibility of expenditure by the competitive growth of the things. That is what is mentioned in the last 2 points. But if I chart it out like this, I have covered all the possible dimensions. Every aspect, without any doubt, has got its pros and cons. So if I say that Industry 4 is going to give me opportunities, it is surely related to challenges. Which are these challenges? Have been given recognition even by United Nations. Challenges here. Challenges of Industry 4. I can have question on what is Industry 4, what is its opportunities and challenges. So I get a ready-made answer to it. And then applying Yojana, we can get on to the Indian context, which will be specific. This is general. Now, challenges. Number one, the revolution would yield greater inequality, particularly in its potential to disrupt labor market. Whenever I talk about Industry 4, labor market surely is going to get influenced. How? As automation substitutes for labor across the entire economy, the net displacement of worker by machine might increase the gap between returns to capital and returns to labor. Because when we talk about automation, I'm actually becoming less labor intensive. And if I'm becoming less labor intensive, I'm creating less job prospect. So one point of greater yield of inequality, because it will modify. The term disrupt here can be substituted by modify. And this modification, because is detrimental type, negative type, disrupt is also a good term to be utilized here. So point number one when it comes to challenge. We talk about other challenges. So I number it as second. It is also possible that displacement of workers by technology will aggregate, result in net increase in safe and rewarding jobs. So if it is that we are taking the positive side of it, then it will be more about rewarding jobs. But mind it, there will be a very clear reference of skilled and unskilled labor. Add point number three. The outcome is likely to be that in future, talent more than capital will represent the critical factor in production. That is, this will give rise to a job market increasingly segregated into low skill, low pay, and high skill, high pay segments. So automation is not just terminating the job prospect. Automation will create more high paying jobs to the skilled worker, and the segregation of the workforce will get widened. And this widening will become a grave type of divide once I pick up these terms: low skill, low pay, and high skill, high pay. In the country like India, where we have got maximum of our labor pool into unskilled sector, by default, industry 4 is going to increase the gap inequality. Then we take number 4. The largest beneficiaries of innovation tends to be the provider of intellectual and physical capitals, the innovators, the shareholders, and the investors, which explains the rising gap in wealth between those dependent on capital versus labor. So increasing gap will not just be valid only to labor, it will also multiply its imprint on the other stakeholders to production. Like we can see innovators here, shareholders and investors. I'm not an innovator, I'm an investor. If I'm investing something which is more on capital or dependent more on technology, so automatically it will be technologically driven factors that will give me more remuneration compared to the other. The gap is increasing, and these are examples of gap. Mind it, if I don't segregate it, they all get mixed up and a quality of answer don't evolve. And then finally, our point 5, technology is therefore the main reason why incomes have stagnated or even decreased for majority of the population in high income countries. Income have stagnated. Demand for high skilled workers have increased while the demand for workers with less education, lower skill has decreased. The result is a job market with stronger demand of high and low ends, but hollowing out in the middle. All these 4 points actually is oriented towards the challenges that I see with Industrial Revolution 4. It is going to carve out a clear sort of a divide between low skill, high skill. This is where we take the reference, and I'm highlighting this point again. Key term is this. And then I have tried to integrate some of the impacts on businesses and governance and individual people. So you can take that also into account as your answer writing if the requirement is there. The impact on business on supply side. Many industries are seeing the introduction of new technology that creates new way of serving needs and significantly disrupt the existing industry and value chain. Disruption is also following from the agile, innovative competitors who, thanks to access the global digital platform for research, development, marketing value. So when I say supply chain, the supply chain is basically generating the clear challenge between, or I'll say clear competition between the conventional and the electronic platform players. That is the reason when I talk about Amazon India or I talk about Flipkart, I'm easily taking on that the digitization on the supply sector is proving a costlier affair for the conventional supply owners. Similarly, on the demand side, growing transparency, consumer engagement, and new partners of consumer behavior forces companies to adapt the way design, market, and deliver products and services. So here it is a positive thing. We are getting consumer friendly. It is more becoming consumer friendly. So the development of technology-enabled platform that combines both demand and supply to disrupt the existing industrial structure, such as those we see within the sharing or on-demand economy. These technological platform renders easy to use by smartphones, make people generate more awareness. And if I take that into account, you can easily see what are the four major impacts of industrial revolution on business: consumer expectation, product enhancement, collaborative innovation, and organizational forms. Because we are more about consumers' aspiration and demand rather than what the producer is oriented towards. I've also added impact on government. The physical, digital, and biological world continues to converge and automatically will increasingly enable citizens to engage with government. Man ki baat, when I talk about mygov.in, why it is so that we are generating interactive platform with our government? Because we require to engage people. So it's a positive thing actually. Voice their opinion, which is always there in democracy, but with Industry 4, with the digitization, it becomes much more easier. One thing that we take about government is that governments will gain new technological power to increase their control over population based on pervasive surveillance system, ability to control digital infrastructure. So number one, people can raise their voice. Number two, government can control the aspirations. Like we are having so much of the social media into the present Indian political setup that is excellently oriented towards government's approach to communicate with the individual. So that is very important. The third thing that I am written here is ultimately the ability of ultimately the ability of government system and public authority to adapt will determine their survival. That I as functioning administrator will survive only when I'm integrating the voice of the people and their opinion, and I'm making the population part and parcel of my decision. So this is something which is very positive fact. But on the negative front, I have included security, which can have both positive, negative, because when I talk about the probability and nature of conflicts, we surely have got the problem which goes up with security concerns. Cyber warfare is very important aspect to it. And with COVID-19, not proven, but always claims and counterclaims, and also given the name that COVID is a China virus, there has been a sideline track of analysis of it being the example of a biological weapon. Not proven as yet, whether it is there or not, but then we have got this challenge that is evolving very important as a problem coming out of uh, Industry 4 when it comes to governance. So what you need to understand is that positive and negative things, challenges and prospects cannot be taken with an overview. If the question demands, you can easily segregate it out or you can cite the examples for it. Like I have given you how it is going to influence the production sector or simple straightforward economy, how it is going to impact governance. And I have also included how it is going to impact people. So very brief write up here. Impact on people is largely related to the sense of privacy, ownership, consumption pattern, and the time that we devote to work, leisure, along with how we develop our career, cultivate our skill, meet people, and nurture relationship. So when we talk about impact on people, it's largely positive. But because the privacy is a very important thing that has evolved as a challenge to the Industrial Revolution 4. So we have to take reference of that into our account. Okay, so we have learned What exactly is Industry 4? First thing, what is Industry 4 and how it is different from its preceders? Second thing, what are the challenges and opportunities it provides? Third thing, what are the specific economic, governance, you can also call it political, there is no problem with it, and individual impacts of it? We have also learned that when it comes to Industry 4, we essentially take into account Internet of Things and Industrial Internet of Things as the important constituent from the geographic perspective. Because when you are writing on economic purview, you are talking about what? Industry, Internet of Things. And when you are talking about individual impacts, then you are talking about what? Then you are talking about Internet. So when I see that there is a possibility of a privacy breach, it is about Internet of Things. If it is that I'm making my life convenient, it is in the Internet of Things. But if I'm taking it from the economic perspective, then it is industrial Internet of Things. That is what we have taken. If I read it from Yojana now, so we have already understood all the factors that are there, but just see the radical pace of innovation that we have learned as exponential. And we are taking it as innovation is fundamentally undergoing a radical change, and the scale, scope and complexity are the things that we are certainly never experienced. That is what I have talked about already earlier. And then it is that we seem to be caught up in such level of systems of production, management and governance on the constant basis of change. I've discussed that also in details. Production management, read it as economic governance, and we have also taken on individual. So we have got the rarest of the combination which were earlier not there. There are being combined, these are being combined with emerging technology in the fields such as artificial intelligence, robotics, 3D printing, nanotechnology, etc. So when we are talking about these in the radical pace, so there is a great disruption and an increasing innovation pace is actually caught up with every revolutionary period. When we take this into account, so we are taking there is an increasing mounting pressure to transform the shift from production centric business model to new models focus on creating and capturing differences. So change from conventional to digital. Is it providing a prospect? Yes, it is. Is it going to generate a challenge? Of course it is. And that is what are the points that we have already charted out. What makes this article more relevant altogether is that all the orientation, disruption, the possibility that is being mentioned, it also talks about Industrial 4 after COVID-19. So during COVID-19 also it is an important. So of course we are in the pandemic times and the industry is facing the challenge of converting this disruption which is coming from exponential pace of growth to adapt to the changing environment. But this challenge have been multiplied with both production and consumption sector coming to a almost halting down because of this pandemic. That is the reason a very important write-up here. I want to read it from here. The priorities for most manufacturers today falls into three distinctive stages. Stage 1, survival. Stage 2, recovery. And stage 3, business as usual in new post-COVID paradigm, pandemic paradigm. So when I talk about survival, now the survival is not oriented only towards that I'm getting completely disrupted of my traditional means. Because we are experiencing industry 4. It is also that now there is the question of survival because we are in the unprecedented times of this pandemic. So first stage of manufacturing today, COVID, we are not talking about industry 4, is survival. And then it is recovery to the business as usual. Whenever we are talking about business as usual, very interesting point given here, so carefully see it. The goal for all manufacturers will be to get to stage 3 as soon as possible and at lowest cost. In defining the operating model for stage 3, they will factor in lessons learned from the crisis and try to build more resilient and agile business. When we talk about that, this unprecedented time has generated a big challenge for us. It has also created a possibility because we want to generate the crisis into opportunity. So what will be the way I can minimize my cost, not just in terms of recovery, but also coming back to business as usual. And if I continue, another key learning from crisis will be driven by manufacture, reliance on human capital and the impact of social distance. So because now we have to generate human capital reliance, but with social distancing. So automatically artificial intelligence and etc. will be costing a lot, or we have to take the adaptations to them. Similarly, we have got number 3, COVID-19 is causing radical shift in workflow across the globe as millions practice social distancing and comply self-quarantine recommendation. The pandemic's dramatic appearance has accelerated numerous trends while slowing down the other. So there is a different orientation that is evolving here. So during COVID times, the first thing that I take out from this write-up is that every manufacturer is oriented towards number 1, generating sort of recovery which is correlated to the survival concern, and then with minimal possible cost generating the business as usual. Will it require industry 4 support? It has to, because now we are generating that kind of human capital requirement where there will be the compliance to social distancing, and this social distancing self quarantine is minimizing the possibility of that at working place work kind of a culture that we have been used to. So COVID is leading to digital transformation. Is COVID leading to digital innovation? Yes, but innovation has been more related to what has been the approach of study when it comes to industry 4. What is the impact that COVID has to have on industry 4? It is leading to digital transformation and self-reliance. Take this here. Digital transformation includes consumer focus. Point number 1, 12 points. Before digital transformation can truly begin, the company must switch to the mindset from being product focused to being consumer focused. Consumer, the king. Whenever we talk about the digital transformation, consumer becomes the prominent purview. Number 2, organizational structure. Companies need to break down internal silos to create cohesive organization that embraces change. Dynamic set of organization structure. Change in management, you can integrate them if you want to, so you can minimize the points, otherwise you can count them up. Change is hard no matter how much it benefits the country, but one of the most common reasons digital transformation fall is because employees don't support them. The most efficient change in management efforts align with the modern dynamic business environment. There is no choice but to change. We are changing from the absolute in classroom studies to online studies. So we need to change. This is the demand of the time. So this digital transformation has been accelerated by the present pandemic. So you can have a straightforward question: impact of COVID on the digital transformation phase. So you can easily write up this. Number 4, transformational leadership. Successful digital transformation start from the very top with the leaders who drive employees towards the vision. When we talk about driving employees towards the vision, I can easily correlate it to the governance also. So when we talk about the top business leaders are encouraging digitization, it is also the top slot that is in the governance that is also mobilizing digitization. There is a pushing up that comes up with the digitization. Number 5, technology decision. Transformation impact the entire organization. So an average of 15 people are involved in most technological purchase decisions, which means everyone's voice is needed to be heard. This number can be changed depending on the scale of the functioning, scale of enterprise. But because every of the transition or transformation that will be taking place due to digitization is going to impact everyone from the top slot to the last slot of the organization. So automatically it requires voice of everyone being heard. That is what we have already talked about as positive aspect of industry. Others we can easily count. Number 6 is integration, that we need to work together and integrate it into company's internal process, internal consumer experience, digital solution for consumer and company, logistic and supply chain can be powerful in improving speed and reliability on the supply chain, data security and privacy with ethics, evolution of products and services processes. Like when we take the references of data security and privacy, a very good example I've cited here, Zoom bombing. When we take the reference of Zoom bombing, Government of India has essentially advised against it because there is the problem of hackers that has been there. So you need to take the reference of different types of challenges converted into prospects, because challenges by default are new for us to justify. And then we have got ways to digitization include digitization, that is digital transformation, because without digital transformation, areas where we need to take possibility were not there for me to introduce any sort of digital technology. Now I can do it. So blur the line between the digital and the physical stores. And finally, personalization, unparalleled opportunity to offer personalized services to the consumer. So COVID is generating. So if I take the reference of COVID-19 is facilitating digitization. My answer is yes, and I have got 12 points to prove it. And how it is facilitating the self-reliance, I'm just coming to it there. Digital transformation is ongoing process, which means continuity of working through these 12 steps. And perhaps this is the silver lining for businesses in the age of COVID-19. Forced change can be positive for your employee partners. Self-reliance and sufficiency is Atmanirbhar Bharat, sourced from PIB. 5 pillars of self-reliant India is given to us by Prime Minister: economy, infrastructure, system, demography, and demand. I've already talked about infrastructure, the system, which is technologically driven. Demography, because we have got world's largest mid-age population, because even Chinese age cohort is on decline. So it automatically gives us the reference of it. And the bold reforms, that is the need of the hour, is also again related to supply chain for agriculture, for which we have got the modifications in the essential commodities list. I'll not be talking about that here. Then you have got rational tax system, which is not just for the time being in the difficult economic crisis, but eventually also simple and clear laws, and also the capable human resource and the strong financial system. So when we talk about COVID creating digitization, or what is the relation between Industry 4 and COVID, how COVID is facilitating self-reliance, is that we need to generate the capacity of self-supporting because in the present pandemic, our dependency from overseas supplies have been massively hit. So, what is the way I can best support myself in any such of crisis time is being self-sufficient. This is how you should comprehend every of the write-up. So this write-up from June 2020 Yojana will be referred like this. The write-up, the notes that I have made, I'll be attaching that in this video for you to refer it further. I hope with this perspective you'll get the know-how of, because it is our first attempt. It might sound to be slightly difficult, but this is the best way we can take out the information from these magazines. That the magazine is talking about Industry 4, perfect. What is Industry 4? What is its impact? What are its pros? What are its cons? But how I can integrate it with the present pandemic, and how I can integrate it with the present Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan is how I generate my content matter to seemingly not related topics. This is what you have to learn. This is the way the content matter of Yojana and Kurukshetra is taken into consideration. So, goodbye from my side for the time being. Continue to prepare, don't panic, and have confidence in yourself. Bye bye.